Hi, this is Duff, WA7BFN, and welcome to This is LICW, a look at what's new, noteworthy, and happening in the Long Island CW Club, June 2024. Well, it looks like a full year of the challenge has been completed. Isn't that amazing? How about that, Kasey? How do we do? How are things going with the challenge at this point?
Hi, Duff. They're doing great. Thanks for having me back. I think I was looking through the history of the podcast, and it might have been the first one that I was on with Kat as well when we introduced the challenge. So it's great to be back on again and to give a kind of annual update. As you mentioned, we are back in another year. So this quarter of 2024 is actually the start of the first official year of having the challenge. I was looking through the stats over the previous quarters, and everything is going great. So we steadily have about 60 or 70 folks that are entering their scores and that are active in the challenge. For those of you that might be new to the challenge or what the challenge is, you can find all the information on our website at licwchallenge.org. You might have also seen on our daily and weekly groups IO that comes out that we also have an ongoing class on Saturdays in, I believe it's Zoom Room C at 12 noon. So if you're just trying to figure out what the challenge is, or maybe you're just starting out and getting on the air, we've got quite a few members of our instructor cadre that get on during that class for a full hour, kind of walk you through and even get on the air with you. We also have a vibrant Discord chat channel where folks post what frequencies they are on and kind of when they're on the challenge. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to get on the air.
Okay, on the Discord channel, where are you located on the Discord channel at that point, Kasey?
So the Discord channel is, I don't have the link for it as I don't manage the actual Discord, but we have channels broken down for kind of all the different subjects, whether it's soda, just getting on the air, using the more Sereno, and we have one channel specific to LICW-challenge.
Okay. So this quarter is coming up, and we have a couple of bonus stations running. Who are those this month? Is it for May?
The bonus stations just flipped over and run. We're running them on a 2-month cycle, so you've got plenty of times to get into the bonus stations. We've got Dave in England, Dale in Washington, Jim in Colorado, yours truly, Duff in Washington, and Jerry in New York will be operating as our club call. Okay. Another thing to point out: our club call W2LEL's. Our club call W2LCW, we've now got integrated into Logbook of the World, so you can log and get contacts from using the club call.
That's super. Absolutely fine. So W2LCW will be the call that we're looking for, and that's open to all channels, I take it, at this point, or all frequencies? Okay.
Yes.
We haven't had too much luck with the space weather as of late over here, so I hope the propagation kind of increases a little bit over the next couple of months, and we'll see where we go with that.
That is true.
Absolutely exciting. So, what else do we need to do to get involved in this thing? Attend one of the classes, take a look at it. If I just was wandering in over here, where do I go? What do you want to do again?
Sure. So at the beginning, I would start with reading the rules, which are right on the homepage. Again, the webpage specific to the challenge is licwchallenge.org.
Right.
So on the homepage, you will see the full breakdown, what recommended frequencies, kind of how the point structure works. And then, like I mentioned on Groups IO, not only do we have a class every Saturday that covers kind of getting on the air with the instructors and a little bit deep dive more into how the challenge operates while you're on the air, but we also introduce and rotate the challenge in our weekly or a rotation of our weekly BC3 series. The only other thing that you really need, other than obviously getting on the air, is your LICW number, which every unique LICW member has their own number, and that should have come in your introductory email. If you misplaced it or can't seem to find it, then you'll have to send an email off to Howard, and he'll get that number for you.
Perfect. That's what you need. And you're looking for the various people, of course. It'll be the key stations or for that. And they will be with a -I take it, if I'm an instructor, or what else are we looking for?
That's correct. So to avoid confusion and so you don't get tripped up, usually what you'll hear is CQLICW. So if you hear somebody calling CQLICW, whether they are a special station or just another member,
Right.
that's what you're looking out for. And then in the exchange, in addition to kind of the standard RST name and QTH, you'll also exchange your LICW numbers.
Perfect.
Now, a normal member will just exchange the number, but if you are operating as a special station, or as you mentioned, I for instructor or A for admin, you'll hear a slash. So you'll hear the number slash and then I, for example.
Perfect.
Based on how many points you have at the end of the quarter, you can get a neat little certificate that you can download and enter your information in there. Whether you want to
Perfect.
go for bronze, silver, or the big Kahuna gold, that's up to you and how many points you make. And again, all of that is available for download and viewing on the licwchallenge.org webpage.
Perfect. Very good. Kasey, thanks much.
Thank you, Duff, and 73s.
73s. Well, the LICW Challenge, a great way to get on the air and have a little bit of fun. Visual learning is a powerful method that uses imagery to communicate academic concepts and information. The learning style often includes elements such as images, charts, graphics, and CW, for sure. Gary has kind of an interesting idea of how visualization can work in improving our CW skills. Come about with this visualization technique.
Probably when I was in my early 20s and I was training to try to improve bowling. Got established in some visualization techniques of mentally working through some of the actions that you do when you bowl. I never really thought about it too much at that point in time. I thought it was just really kind of a warm-up session, but then later on I had a chance to talk to an Olympic archer that was volunteering his time at a Boy Scout camp.
Really? Wow. Okay.
And this young man, whose name escapes me right now, was giving the Boy Scouts visualization of all of the various steps that they needed to go through when they stepped up to first put the arrow in their bow, how to look at the target, how to think about how they're holding the bow, how they're going to control their breath and bring the string and arrow back and look at the target and visualize the arrow flying through the air with a slight arch to it and going right into the target. And it was very amazing to see how 12, 13-year-old boys without a whole lot of muscular coordination in just a few short periods of time could do very, very well. And so that made me think about that.
And as you stated basically in the piece you did for the newsletter over there, that being able to send and receive Morse code is, obviously a skill and not necessarily difficult, but repetitive. So how does the visualization of sending, or I guess code, or just seeing what we're doing, how do you perceive that to affect your performance?
Well, and so I did a little bit of a deep dive into this, and I've come to find out that what it's doing is the brain and the neurological processes that are going on in the brain and all the neural pathways
Right.
are actually sending out the same electrical signals and activating the same chemicals and muscles in the body, just as if you were actually doing this. And in fact, just recently I talked to a bodybuilder, and he says he uses visualization in conjunction with his bodybuilding exercises.
Really? Wow.
He's actually visualizing his muscles and the blood circulation and the contraction and expansion of the muscles as he's doing his exercises. And he had some medical information that doing that, you would actually grow muscle content at a faster rate than
Really?
just without.
I wonder why that is. That's kind of a fascinating thing, really.
That was very
Yeah.
fascinating to me, and so I just started reading on that, and sure enough, that seems to be a side benefit of this is that it kind of supercharges some of your exercises. So I've been thinking maybe we can use this in Morse code practice sessions, both
Maybe,
on
yeah, giving, I guess, if you visualize this thing, you're getting that mental feedback, as you say, or, reading, you're sending, as you were saying. And I thought
right.
that was kind of interesting.
Yes, and so I came up with a couple of exercises just and the first one was I was having trouble sending the character 8.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
And it became a stress factor with me. It every time I tried to send an 8, I would just
Freeze up.
freeze up a little bit. Yeah. And and uh, and so I started doing some visualization and actually visualizing the character 8 and then listening to the acoustic sounds in my mind and at the same time visualizing my hand making
Sure.
my movements on my paddle.
Hmm.
Uh, and it did two things right away for me. Number one, when an 8 came up in either instructing or in on the air, I I found that I didn't have the stress that I had before.
Hmm.
Number and I just approached it like any other Morse code character,
Hmm.
and it seemed like I was making pretty good progress as a result of this. And it didn't take a long time. I mean, I'm talking about 3 or 4 days of visualization of maybe 10, 10 minutes at a time
Right.
or 2 times a day over
Mhm.
that kind of a period. And next thing I knew, I wasn't afraid of sending an 8. It was very, very natural for me. Um, and I'm certainly not 100% on sending 8s today, but I'm certainly a lot better than I was.
There you go. So it's the visualization, and not only so all the senses I take it are in play here at this particular point. You have
That's
your mental visualization of what this thing one should sound like, maybe. What does it look like? I guess as you go from
and
there,
that's the other, yeah, that's
and
the other.
then the
So
other right.
I think it has benefit both in copy as well as in sending. Certainly within the sending, you can get the muscular
Right.
um, actions. You can simulate those, or you can even manipulate a dead key if you want to, as far as that goes.
Right.
The other the other thing that I got thinking about, and this maybe goes back to how we set up our stations in terms of the ergonomics of how we set our station up and
Sure.
how we operate in
Hmm.
certain conditions, whether it be a contest or a radio sport or something like that, SST,
Right. Yeah.
a sprint, or what have you.
Sure.
Lots of times we get in what I would call real time fumble mode when the event actually occurs. Uh, that logbook is not at the right place, or the pencils are not in the right place, or whatever.
True. Very true.
And
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
just sitting down maybe the night before and visualizing, okay, I'm going to be at this weekend sprint for SKCC. What is
Hmm.
it I want to do?
Yep.
Okay, okay, I'm going to have my logbook up here on this screen. I'm going to have it in this position on this screen, and I'm going to
Hmm.
be able to look up here. I'm going to have my I'm going to start off on this band. I'm going to have my filters set up accordingly, and I
Right.
visualize how
Right.
my radio is going to be.
Hmm.
Key placement, pencil placement. Uh, have I got everything all set up? And maybe even down to the point of I've got my favorite drink here, water, what have
Yeah.
you,
Whatever.
and just visualize that entire operation from start to actually operating when I'm in the thick of things. I think that helps a lot. And I noticed I noticed what I would call a lot of fumbling around at field day
Oh,
this
sure.
last
Yeah.
year.
Hmm.
Uh, Radios are not in the same order that they are at home. Uh, they've just been kind of
Set up
changed,
appropriately. That's right. Yeah. And
and there's a
left-handed,
lot
right-hand
going on.
paddle.
You got a
Yeah.
little bit of background activity, things like that, and I think that we can probably use visualization to help in our operations as well as sending and receiving practice as
Yeah, it's
well.
fascinating. That really is. And nicely done, sir. I'll look forward to it. I'll read well, I've read the article, but the article is quite interesting. Something to explore and visualization in CW. I think I like your line. I think, therefore, I CW. Hey, Gary, thank you very much. Fascinating. That is for sure. And we'll look for more of the same. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Duff.
Visualization for CW. Kind of an interesting concept. One of the more successful classes in LICW is one called NV1U. A lot of people look at it and say, well, this isn't for me. The Holy Grail seems to be somewhere between 20 and 25, which is addressed in this class on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think not too many people seem to know about NV1U and what we do there. It's one of our flagship advanced one classes, and so we operate generally above 20 words a minute. And really, it feels like a continuation of Intermediate 3. It's all about having a good chat, talking to people, and making friends along the way. And actually, it was our first class at LICW that demonstrated the cohort effect to full power.
And I think that's a big thing. The cohort effect, of course, is we have a number of people who've been in there since day one almost, I think, because I remember when the class started out, it was like a 10 to 12 words per minute, Dr. Zeus, and stuff like this. And now it's kind of graduated up the line. But is it open for everybody, Mike? Is this appropriate for everybody? How about people coming out of 10 or out of intermediate 3 to moving to NVU? Is that appropriate for them? Would it work?
Well, Duff, when we created the new curriculum, we tried to make a considerable overlap between all of the class levels. And what we have found are many students are in two class levels at the same time. They're in a comfortable zone in one class, and then at the same time, they're in a stretch zone in the
Really?
other.
Yep.
And so it's important as we go forward to maintain the integrity of those levels so that students can make a seamless transition through them.
So if you even though you're not at the level where NV1U is on occasion, because I've seen it spreads are very from 10 words per minute for some people all the way up to as you were doing today 50 words a minute. I'm going, wow. So what do you think about that, Quentin? What do you think about bringing some other these people in? Are they going to be comfortable in here even though they're not quite at that level?
I love having people from all levels in the class. As Mike says, we see a lot of people straddling two classes. We've got a comfort class and a bit of a stretch class. And when NV1U becomes that stretch class for Intermediate 3 users, they tend to really kind of fall into a place where they can have fun and just be accepted at whatever speed they are. We change the speeds. We see a whole range of speeds, and you mentioned 50 words a minute, but that was the last 30 seconds of class, really trying to push that speed up, see how far we can get. So NV1U is first and foremost an experimental class where we try new things and see what sticks.
Yeah, but I think that's really you never know what you're going to get. It's a box of chocolate, and you guys have experimented with that fairly well. So this is a perfect class, I guess, for intermediate 3 and beyond, beyond that. Are you thinking we may be going beyond NV1, or are we going to stay right within a certain level, Mike, or do you think we'll be moving on to something faster elsewhere?
What's really interesting about this class is that it has a unique culture. It's a culture that it is very much a head copy laboratory. It's an innovative group. And it's also a group that is continuing to improve. Just a year ago, NV1U was an intermediate class, but the class continues to evolve and the students continue to improve.
Right.
And so we find ourselves in an interesting point right now where the class that just wrapped up Quentin was sending at the end of that class at 50 words a minute.
No kidding.
And so we find ourselves in a situation where we need to reevaluate what we're doing in that class and plan out the entire advanced group of classes. And that's one of the things we'd like to talk to you about today.
Right. So the other part of this whole thing, I guess, is if we have a number of people, of course, who have come in from intermediate 2 over here to NV1U. What would you say to folks who are, looking at that saying, I could never do this? What would you think, Quentin? What would you tell them at this point?
Every time still to this day, I'm blown away by how many people get more than they think they do. They copy a passage, they come back and they say, oh, that was rough. I didn't really make sense of it. But when you read them the passage, they smile and they get it. They realize that it was all in there at the end of the day. I think there's no, it's basically the perfect place to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's the growing zone, really, for me.
And do not be afraid, I guess, is what it is, to come on over there,
Absolutely.
put your toe in the water, okay, and see what it's all about. I mean, that's where it is from there. So what would you say to that? How would you address that, Mike?
Well, one of the, when this class started originally, when Tom, NV1U, started this class, it wasn't even a class. It was just a group that got together Monday through Friday.
Right.
And it created a very comfortable environment where friendships formed and this unique learning environment where people, as Quentin just said, are comfortable in their uncomfortable zone. And so we've coined that now the cohort effect. And it's something that we have tried to expand throughout the entire intermediate group in the way we've laid out classes. And it's something that we are planning to do now as well for all Advanced 1, 2, and Advanced 3 classes.
So are you going to limit, the speed or would that be range, shall we say, in this as well, Quentin? Or do you think we're going to expand beyond the limits to where we're at right now currently?
Yeah, when I started with NV1U, it was Tom NV1U, and as you said, there were a lot of jokes, a lot of Dr. Seuss, and we were running around 10 words a minute. And as a group, this core group of people have moved up to operating comfortably 20, 25, 30 words a minute. And the difficulty with that is because the class has moved together so much, it still has this little bit of momentum. So in order to ensure we bridge this gap between intermediate 3 and the advanced classes, we've decided to stop moving the goalpost with NV1U and to put a pin in it at about 20 to 25 words a minute, comfortable proficiency. Long pieces of text, short pieces, weird words, all sorts of fun, funky phrases, but in that kind of speed area. And then the goal then is to introduce some new intermediate advanced 2 classes in the 25 to 35 range.
Well, gents, thank you. I think
Don't be shy. It's really a great group of folk. We have a lot of fun 5 times a week. It's just a blast.
there you go. Mike, Quentin, thank you guys. Appreciate that. And let's carry on. Good luck.
Thanks, Duff.
Thank you, Duff.
This is LICW is produced by the Informational Services of the Long Island CW Club. Comments, questions may be made to WA7BFN@msn.com. Thanks, everybody. Till next time, 73s.